Hey Mandy,
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Yes, oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember the last time it was just me and you doing a video.
That was a
Because,
while ago, was it? I
yeah,
think it might have been on the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction.
that's right. Yes, I think that was the last one. It was just
Yeah,
you and I did.
yeah,
And in a sense, this is kind of following on from that, the video that we're doing today, isn't it? Because it's still relevant to this,
hmm,
but there's a very intense little event coming up,
yeah,
which, yeah, I'll let you say what that is. And we are going to be doing Astro-Tarot readings in relation to this today, and there'll
yeah.
be readings for everybody.
Right. So basically, what is unique, particularly throughout the month of February, is that we're going to have something called a stellium, and a stellium is a gathering of three or more planets in the same sign, and that's going to be Aquarius, and that's where the grand conjunction happened this year. So many astrologers are considering it as the sign where the planetary archetypes are going to be expressing their changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a very intense stellium. I'm just going to show you um, when when it starts and when it ends and what happens in between. Okay, just give me a second to share the screen. All right, so I hope you can see this. All right, so
Yeah.
the stellium, when does it start? February 1, all right, around 5:06 p.m. Arabian Standard Time, which would be 2:06 p.m. UK
Yeah. Yeah.
time, and around 9:06 a.m. Eastern Time, I think. Right. So you can see Venus just entering Aquarius here. And now we
Yes.
have five planets in Aquarius. We have Venus and Saturn and Jupiter and the Sun and Mercury, and I think it's safe to assume all of them are going to be influenced to some extent in different ways by the energy of Saturn because Saturn rules Aquarius. Okay.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see what comes up in the cards about this
Yeah.
stellium. Okay.
Yeah, and Aquarius
Now,
is a sort of a big air sign, which is sort of
right.
very much to do with kind of
Yeah.
communication and advanced thinking and all this
Yeah.
sort of thing.
And also like reform, but at a kind of a steady pace, a more steady pace, and reform by working with the institutions that are already in place as opposed to subverting them, you know?
Right.
Yeah. So then, the one of the major changes midway that happens is that the sun leaves Aquarius, goes into Pisces. Okay.
Yes.
And that happens on the 18th of February, 1:44 p.m. Arabian Standard Time, which I believe is it 10:44 a.m. UK time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
So basically, what you're saying is we've got the five planet stellium from the 1st to the 18th of February. So we've got like 2.5 weeks of this very, very kind of what's the word, combined sort of energy of all of these planets.
It remains intense actually until like late February because a stellium is a minimum of three planets, and we still have four planets even when the sun leaves. And
Yes.
Venus won't be leaving until the 25th of February around
Yes.
4:11 p.m. Arabian
Right.
Standard Time, which is 1:11 p.m. UK time, right? But we
Okay.
still have a stellium here. And Mercury stays, Mercury is already in Aquarius and it's staying there until the 15th of March. That's a very long time. And Mercury is a very intellectual airy sign. So I
Yes.
safe to expect that
Yeah.
that is going to leave some kind of signature for a lot of people,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Mm.
All right. So I guess I can stop sharing
And
my.
there's one other thing, and that was because we recorded the new moon in Aquarius, the video for that the other day,
Mhm.
and the new moon actually goes in the middle of this 18-day period when there's five planets already there. The moon goes in on the 10th,
Right.
creates a new moon with the sun in Aquarius on the 11th,
Right.
and leaves the sign on the 12th. The moon passes through a sign in about 2 days. But,
Right.
you know, I would say that's the real peak of it when the moon comes in, if we're just focusing on the nature of the stellium.
Right. And I think if you want to know what the tarot says about the manifestation possibilities for the new moon in Aquarius during that period, you should
Yes.
look at the video that we did for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
basically, the way that we're going to do it today, we've had a conversation about this, right? The way that we're going to do it today is everybody, absolutely everybody, has Aquarius in their chart.
Yes.
So you don't have to be born in, you know, in January to kind of have Aquarius in your chart. It exists in your chart somewhere. And what we kind of like can do for you, if you don't know where Aquarius is in your chart, just send us your date, time and place of birth. And unfortunately, unless we've got the time of birth, we won't have access to the information. So but if you know your date, time and place of birth and you want to message us with it, we can then tell you which house. Don't get too confused by this if you don't know about astrology. Which house in your chart will be affected by this stellium in Aquarius? Because the 12 different houses represent the 12 different areas of life. So for some people, this stellium may affect their relationships. For other people, it may affect their families or whatever. It's going to be different according to which house in your chart is affected. So the tarot readings that are coming up now are for each of the 12 houses. So feel free, if you know where Aquarius is in your chart, carry on listening to this video and enjoy the tarot readings. If you don't know, pause the video at this point, send us a message, find out from us. We'll get back to you, unless we're literally inundated with thousands of inquiries. We should get back to you within 24 hours and we can tell you which house of yours is kind of affected by Aquarius, and then go back to the video so you know which part of the reading is applicable to you.
Right. And just one more thing to say is that we work with the whole sign house system.
Absolutely, yes.
And many modern astrologers don't. They have like the quadrant system or Placidus. And so the whole sign system is actually pretty simple. So let's say the degree of the sign that was there on the eastern horizon when you were born. Let's say it's 13th degree of Pisces. Then Pisces, the entire sign of Pisces becomes your first house. And then Aries becomes your second, you know?
Yeah,
so it's pretty simple to find out. Yeah, just shoot
so
it.
That's what we would base these readings on. The readings will be based on which whole sign house is affected by Aquarius in your chart. And we've got a little surprise for you at the end of the 12 readings. I will say no more, but that will apply to everybody. Okay, and relates to this stellium. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Harleed, who is going to talk about the first 3 houses and give you a tarot reading. Okay.
All right. So I'm going to be consulting the tarot for advice or words of caution for anyone with Aquarius as their first, second, or third house. And this will apply to the entire period where we will have a stellium involving the Sun and Venus and Mercury and Jupiter and Saturn from the 1st of February up until the 25th. But, you know, remembering that the Sun leaves and enters Pisces on the 18th. Okay. So what are the messages for anyone with Aquarius, the first or the second or the third house? How is the stellium going to affect them? Okay, so before I turn over the first card for the first house, I'll just say that the first house covers
Perfect.
the
Yeah.
immediate sense of self, right? The self image, also the body image, the experience of the body, and the persona, right? Because
Yeah.
that's a sign that contains the ascendant, which is how you project yourself to others, right? How you navigate your environment through a kind of mask, let's say. So yeah, so what's the tarot's message for the stellium's influence on Aquarius' first house? Hmm. Okay, I think this is going to be really interesting because I think if you have Aquarius in your first house, you're going to feel more aware than usual of what makes you different from others and also what gives you, let's say, an advantage over others, particularly in terms of the way that you understand the world on the level of perception and understanding. Um, you're sort of going to feel like, yeah, I'm up here, they're down there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Um, so that's a nice advantage. Like you might feel like a bit uncomfortable with having so many people around you with contrary understandings or philosophies of the world and life. But I think you're gonna feel pretty confident about how you understand the world, right? Okay, so I got for you the Seven of Wands upright. And notice
Oh,
how confident this guy looks. I think he
yes.
looks super confident here, like
Yes. Yeah.
not really
What
stressed.
deck is that, honey?
This is the Morgan Greer Tarot.
Okay. Nice.
I hope this is clear enough.
Yes.
Is it?
Yes. Yes. Yeah,
Oh,
that's clear. Yeah,
all right.
that's clear.
Yeah, yeah. So good for, I think it's a good for like confidence that you gain from, let's say, an intellectual growth, and yeah, an into a good intellectual vantage point. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So what's the stellium's effect on the second house, which covers the income that you earn, finances in general, possessions, and values? Also, your own
Isn't
values.
this you? Are you
Okay?
second house
I
Aquarius?
am correct.
Right. Yes, I thought
Capricorn
you
is
might.
my
Yeah.
first house. And also, yeah, what else did I want to say about that? Um, well, this is a different story. This is too much about me. Anyway, yeah. So second house. Well, I think there's gonna be some restriction in you, in the feeling you might have that you're ready or able to manifest a very ambitious creative vision that you have. If you have a very ambitious creative vision, um, a sort of ideal, a long-term ideal for yourself, a future-oriented ideal, you might feel like restricted and that you might feel like things aren't going in your favor during this period, right? That there's some kind of weight there that is, let's see, making you feel less in control of your um, ability to manifest, your ability to manifest um, what you imagine as your best future, right? Okay,
Oh.
so I got for you the King of Cups reversed,
Oh. Yes.
right?
Yes.
So it's like, it's where you feel like your strongest, let's say, creative talent lies. But I think because it came up reversed, I feel like there's gonna be some restriction on it. And I
Yes.
think I think that is Saturn's influence, right? There, because I mean, the cups is very dreamy and it's all about, just like
Yeah.
loosening boundaries, whereas Saturn is about restricting them. And it's interesting that Jupiter is there also. Jupiter is an expansive planet, but it's in the domain that Saturn rules, which is Aquarius, you know.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think its ability to help is going to be a little bit limited. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the message for second house, right?
Okay.
So third house, which covers a pretty diverse range of topics, that's like
Yes.
sibling relationships,
Yes.
um, learning. It's either early learning experiences or learning new subjects, short-term projects, your immediate environment, including your neighbors, okay,
Yes.
communication, exchange of ideas, all right? So let's see how the stellium is going to affect you if you have Aquarius as your third house. Oh, oh, this is really good.
Oh, good.
Hmm. This is going, the stellium is going to empower you to just march ahead with the ideas and with the values that you feel strongly about, that you believe in, um, even if they're in sharp contrast with what the people around you. So it's actually similar to, it resonates with the um, message that I got for the first house Aquarius. Um, this is a bit even, I would say this is even a stronger position. It's giving you a fixity. That's what it is. Okay. It's giving you a kind of fixity and a gravity in a domain of life where there are a lot of influences pushing you in different directions. Like if you think about sibling relationships or relationships with people in your immediate community, or the kinds of influences that come through communication or learning, you can easily see how they can push you in different directions. But what I got here is a card of a wonderful, like focused, productive fixity, you know?
Oh, wow.
So I think that's Saturn working in your favor, right?
Yeah.
Knight of Pentacles upright,
Oh, lovely.
right?
Lovely. Yeah, I get what you're saying about the fixed energy.
Yeah,
That's really nice.
yes,
Really nice for anyone that's got it hitting their third house.
right. So yeah, so be confident in your ideas, assertive with the people in your immediate
Yes, that's yeah,
environment,
yeah. Stick to yeah. Don't be
and any
persuaded.
learning projects that you feel strongly about, stick
Yes,
with them, I would say. Yeah,
very nice.
yeah.
Okay, so if you have Aquarius hitting your fourth, fifth, or sixth house, how will this stellarium affect you, or what advice is there for it?
Hmm.
Mainly between the 1st and the 18th, but it does go up to the 25th, but the sun leaves the
Right,
equation
right.
on the 18th of February. So you've got a good 2.5 weeks that this reading applies for.
Hmm.
And it's a big energy. It's kind of like there's a party going on up there in Aquarius. So how will it affect you if that aligns with your fourth, fifth, or sixth house? Here we go. The fourth house. So the fourth house is to do with family, and it can be to do with I think of it as kind of like very close family, like parents and your upbringing,
Hmm.
that sort of thing. This is very good. I'm honestly feeling a sort of a lot of rejoicing here. But what I'm actually feeling is that I'm going to take this both ways, although my intuition is telling me that this is how your family will. I feel your family will be very supportive to you if you if you are doing some sort of project, or there's if there is something that you need the support and help of your family, you will get it during the time of this. They'll get you during the time of this stellarium. If you're thinking a bit outside the box and you're wanting to do something a little bit novel, or a little bit alternative, whatever, I think your family will back you up. It could be vice versa. It might be that you are supporting your family in something that someone from your immediate close family is doing. But it's a very, very kind of positive energy for anyone who's got the Stellarium aligning with their fourth house. The Six of Wands.
Ah, lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely support. That's getting support,
Yeah.
and actually, I think admiration.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's, to me, that's nothing but positive. Whether you're the one on top of the horse or you're the one that's kind of admiring the family member that is on the horse, but it is to do with close family.
Right. What a
Yeah.
lovely message. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, fifth house is to do with fun, which can be sex, like sexy fun, but it's also to do with, I do not want to too much kind of put these two into one sentence, but it can also be to do with, I'll separate what I was about to say. Yeah, it can be to do with creativity, very much so.
Yeah.
And it's also to do with children. Okay, so whether it's your children or whether you work with children or whether you want children, so there's a playfulness about the fifth house. So whether it's whether it's to do with how you enjoy yourself, or whether it's to do with your creative flair, or whether it's to do with children, this is how you would be affected if the Stellarium is hitting your fifth house. Okay. Well, I'm feeling for the, I've got to say, I'm being a little bit obvious here, but my immediate reaction is if during that period, that sort of, call it 18-day period, I think if you are, I mean, the first thing I went for, which is not necessarily the top of the list for the fifth house, if you are talking about sex, do not mistake sex for romance or love. If you are, if you're in a relationship where you're having fun and having a good time, which is really, I would say, minimalized at the moment with the virus, but I'm sure sex has not come to a complete standstill. Do not mistake love and romance for sex and fun. That is a big message over this Stellarium. Do not kind of read something into it that isn't there. That is the first thing I would say. If it's touching your fifth house in terms of creativity, I don't think, I kind of think there are better times. Now, I don't know whether this has got anything to do with the fact that Aquarius is in direct opposition to Leo. And Leo would be a sign that is kind of lends itself to creativity. And you've got, it's almost like you are being pulled in the opposite direction. I don't think that it's only 18 days at the end of the day, that the intensity of this, right? I don't think this is the best time that your creativity is going to kind of spark into life, to be quite honest. I'm not picking up on the children thing here at all in any significant way, so I'm not going to kind of like try and impose it into it. But I got the Two of Cups in reverse. So what I'm saying is, do not mistake a sexy, fun time as being anything more meaningful than just that. You know, I'm not knocking it, but it isn't that. It's that. And I do feel that if you have got any creative projects on the go, I don't think they're going to flow particularly well with all that Aquarian energy pulling things in another direction. Maybe you'll just be forced to sort of overthink it a bit too much to actually be creative at this time.
Right. And the distinction that you have in mind is between like Casual sex and long-term partnership? Is that what you...
Yeah, I'm just feeling like, you know, like sometimes people, you know, assuming everybody's kind of consenting grown-ups and adults, I just feel sometimes people will be having sex with a person and they believe that that is love and deep and meaningful and romantic. And I'm feeling from this, see it for what it is. Like, you know, just because you're having great sex with someone, it doesn't necessarily mean you found your soulmate or life's partner, or, you know, it's just really evaluate it. It's not necessarily to be confused with something meaningful, romantic, and, you know, emotionally connected. It's just for the sake of fun.
Yeah, got it. Okay, cool.
Those things do happen.
Yeah, that's astrology.
Those things do happen. So for the period of that 18 days, don't don't turn something into something that it isn't. Okay. The last one, the 6th house, is to do, it can be to do with health. It can also be to do with pets. I haven't turned the card over yet. Yeah, it can be to do with helping other people. I kind of like feel that 6th house can be quite caring in a way. Let's just see what kind of comes up.
Also, like boring daily routines and chores for like...
Boring, thank you very much. Yeah, yeah, the day-to-day sort of stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Khalid. Okay. I am actually feeling, I'm actually quite glad that you said that. I am actually feeling, you may feel over this 18-day period quite down. Yeah, I mean, oh, gosh, this could be that you're not, that it's very hard for you to put your heart and soul into any of that day-to-day stuff. It's kind of like, you know, if you have to, you might even just, you know, it's easier to do something if your heart is in it, if you're engaged with it. I am actually really, really feeling that is a massive struggle. To the point that I think there may even be some emotional imbalance or depression for anybody where the stellium is hitting your 6th house. Now, I'm just having a look what's up there and what it rules. So Mercury, is there anything up there that rules one of the water signs? Well, I suppose Jupiter rules Pisces, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Jupiter does rule Pisces. Jupiter's up there in Aquarius. Jupiter does emphasize things. Jupiter can make things bigger. And I think Pisces can be a little bit prone to sort of things like mental health issues or emotional imbalance. I actually feel there might be a little bit of a struggle for some people on an emotional level. Yeah, I've got to be honest. January is tax return time over here in the UK. I don't know if it is where you are, Khalid, but you have to get your tax return in by the end of January, and you've had like 10 months or something to do it. But I always leave it till January, and I know I'm not the only person. And I've got to say, it's been like agony for me to get started on it. But every day I think I must make a start on it. I must make a start on it. And it just drags me down. I think it's that sort of thing. Getting started to do anything is going to be that you don't really want to do, that is not appealing to you. It's going to be incredibly hard work during this stellium if it's touching your 6th house.
Yeah. Yeah, that pretty much says it all. Hang in there. Hang in
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Venus is leaving. I think it'll be better once Venus leaves, probably on the
Yeah.
25th.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's like, what you value, what you appreciate, you know. Um, so hopefully that'll help. All right, so now I'm asking the tarot's advice for anyone with Aquarius as their 7th, 8th, or 9th house for the period from February 1 to February 25. Okay. Okay. Okay, so the 7th house is all about really intimate, kind of more one-on-one relationships, whether these are romantic or business oriented. So they're relationships that require a lot of time and devotion and like focusing on one person or like a small group of people. Okay. But they're one of the angular houses. The 7th house is one of the angular houses. So it's it's supposed to really contribute a lot to your sense of who you are and where your life is going. Okay. All right. Okay. So I think this is actually going to be good
Okay.
for 7th house Aquarius people because it's going to kind of dampen down the competitive urge in all of us, like this impulse to be uh, to present yourself as the one who is in the right, um, and to get your own will imposed above others' wills. I think instead it's going to take some of that competitive energy out and incline people to actually work together. So if there are people in your immediate environment um, who you've been kind of clashing with, just butting heads with for some time, um, that impulse that you've been kind of working on is going to be subdued. And you're going to see more of the value of actually cooperating with others to get what you need, and I think you're going to sense actually some kind of gratification from that, from the competitive impulse being subdued and the cooperative impulse coming in
Oh,
more force.
okay.
Okay. So I got 5 of Wands reversed for you.
Ah,
Yeah.
nice.
Isn't it great for a 7th house?
Yes.
Because you don't
Yeah,
want
very
that
good
kind
for
of
that.
that kind of energy in a 7th house. Really, it's like you want it to withdraw from any 7th house engagements.
Yes, yes.
Yes. All right. So good message for 7th house Aquarians. Okay. Now we get to the 8th house, which is one of the more mysterious houses of the zodiac. So this covers shared resources in the very broadest sense. So it could be like money that you get through inheritance, right? Taxes. It could be, and also the type of sexual relations that really involve your identity in a very deep way, and that might lead to transformations, right? And so this is, I think, where the link between sex and death occurs in the 8th house, right? It's sort of
Okay.
like sexuality as a channel for the death and rebirth of the self, right? Finding
Wow.
yourself through intense sexual relationships as well, right? And finally, the shadow self, right? So the part of yourself that you don't know, but that involves a combination of your own personal complexes and the complexes that you absorb from the external world. Okay, so what's the message for eighth house Aquarius people? Wow. Wow. All right. So I talked about the shadow aspect of the psyche, the unconscious. All right. So I think this period is actually going to bring up for you a lot of shadow material that is going to feel very difficult to deal with. It might you might feel like discouraged from dealing with it, processing it, shedding light on it, and you might feel like you prefer to just bury it in your head, right? But the challenge ahead of you for this period is to dive into yourself and know what makes you afraid of yourself and of others, and know what makes you want to kind of turn away from the world and yeah, just look for a hiding place, really, right?
Oh,
So yeah, it's a bit of a dark encounter with the self. So I got for you the moon reversed.
whoa.
Right. Very
Oh my
eighth house,
gosh.
huh?
That's very eighth house.
Very eighth house, yes.
That is very eighth. And dare I say
Yeah.
that this might kind of like be more poignant on that 10th to 12th of February when the moon joins the
Ah,
stellarium.
yes. That makes sense. That really does make sense. Yeah. Hmm. So yeah. So if you have Aquarius in your eighth house, do make sure to check out our new moon in Aquarius video to see
Yes,
what
definitely.
the
Definitely
message
so.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, um, what's the message for you if you've got Aquarius in your ninth house? And the ninth house is about horizons like of experience that you gain by leaving your immediate environment, traveling, engaging with people from other cultures, maybe learning other languages. Also involves teaching what you've already learned and maybe developing your own philosophy of life.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the message for ninth house Aquarians? Whoa. Okay. All right. I think if you've got Aquarius in your ninth house, any ideas or philosophies that you have that are not mainstream, they're not mainstream. Okay, um, your confidence in them and the general energy that you feel around them, like let's say things happening actually in the world around you at that time, and this long stretch of February, things happening around you will reinforce your confidence. My cat is licking my shirt for some reason. It's something she likes to do. You need to stop, dear. You need to stop. So yeah. So this stellium energy in Aquarius is gonna boost your confidence in your own particular perspective on the world. So the message is it does resonate with what I believe I got for the first house Aquarians, right? Um, but the focus here, okay, this is also a wands card, but as opposed to the seven of wands, the focus is not on kind of keeping the knowledge to yourself and kind of enjoying the advantage that it gives you over others. This is about putting, like, giving the knowledge out to others, spreading it,
Yeah.
and actually gaining trust and respect from others, you know, once they realize that your vision is actually unique and empowering. Okay, so yeah, definitely share your knowledge, share the wisdom you've accumulated from the past year, and you will be appreciated and recognized for it. Six of Wands upright.
Ah,
Yeah,
wow.
very confident.
Marvelous.
Yep.
Very nice. So I got that on the 4th house.
Right.
You've got it on the 9th.
On the ninth, yes. Mhm.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay. So the last kind of little round of this is for anyone who's got Aquarius aligning with their 10th, 11th or 12th houses, and how that stellium between the 1st and the 25th, or you could say 18th of February, is going to affect anyone who has Aquarius in the 10th, 11th or 12th houses. Okay, what's the message? Here we go. I'm excited about this 10th house because I have Aquarius in my 10th house, and I also have Venus in my 10th house. So this is for me. And the 10th house is all about success, ambition, kind of like, you know, how the world sort of like, you know, perceives you. And that's it. Yeah.
You've got Sun and Venus in Aquarius, if I'm not
I
mistaken,
have.
right? Yeah.
I've got the
Cool.
sun at 10 and Venus at 7.
Nice. Okay.
Aquarius. So yeah, both in my 10th house. Okay, so the message here for anybody who, like me, has Aquarius in the 10th house. Now, the 10th house, I kind of see it as quite a sort of a house to aspire to. You know, it's kind of like, you know, we want to be a success. We want achievements, all of that kind of thing. However, there is a very strong message here from this stellium, and it is saying, reduce your workload. Basically, it's basically saying you will achieve more. Less is more. Simple as that. Less is more. Okay. That is what I'm getting for anyone who has got Aquarius up there in the 10th. It may mean, especially because of the Venus being there as well, and Jupiter's there. So the two most beneficial planets are up there in Aquarius. In my case, it's affecting the 10th house. And I feel that is saying, try to kind of streamline what you do down to the things that you get the most kind of like pleasure from, and that you get the most value from, that kind of makes you feel valued, and that you kind of like believe in, and kind of get rid of unnecessary kind of rubbish that kind of and baggage that you're carrying around with you. Pretty obvious. 10 ones in reverse.
Yeah. Very nice.
Okay. 11th house Aquarians. 11th house is to do with the bigger community, the community at large. It's also to do with humanitarianism, isn't it? And all of that sort of thing. And
yes, and more kind of like communities, friendships that are based on shared kind of worldviews and values.
Yes.
And yeah, hopes and goals they'd like to see manifesting in the world before you leave.
Yeah, but I definitely see this as it's quite a large scale thing, rather than what's going on just in your little house and your little world. It is the bigger picture, the 11th house. So if you've got Aquarius in that part of your chart, very nice. Very nice. I would say Don't just kind of like hold on to your beliefs, but actually take what you truly believe in your heart and share it. I would say take it out there. And I'm actually going to go with it. Sounds corny, but over that 18 days, I think you would absolutely gain something within yourself if you did that random acts of kindness thing. So in whatever way you can do that, considering the lockdown and all that sort of thing, if you are an 11th house Aquarian, I would say do something kind and generous
Mm-hmm.
to the community, to the world, even if it's posting words of wisdom or whatever on Facebook, but if you can, I don't know, volunteer for something, do it. I see this is actually really lovely. Knight of Cups upright.
Ah, amazing. That's beautiful.
It is, isn't it? It's
Yes,
really, really lovely. And but you're not doing it for an individual. You're doing it for the greater good.
yes.
That's the point of the 11th house.
And the Knight of Cups is, I think, among all the knights, he's the one who's most devoted to and kind of emotional, imaginative ideal, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just great
Yeah,
for
yeah.
aspiration,
It,
for
it,
aspiration, you know?
it's just bring out the kindest, most generously, emotionally generous side of yourself, and it's the maximum amount of benefit can be gained from that for you and others.
Yeah, and I
Let's
feel like,
hope.
like,
Let's hope the world is full of 11th house Aquarians.
yes,
Actually,
yes, yes, seriously, let's hope for that. Yes. Yeah, that can trigger the best out of them, I think. Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
lovely. Mm.
It's very interesting. I haven't turned over my last card yet, but I'm looking at my 6 cards. And out of the 5 that I've turned over so far, 2 were wands and 3 were cups.
Mm. Okay.
So no air card so far, even though kind of like Aquarius is very much an air card. But anyway, here we go. So this is now the 12th house. 12th house can be a difficult house. On the plus side, it can be a very spiritual house. It can literally be handing over to a higher power, belief in all of this sort of thing. I think it can be very well connected with greater powers. On the other hand, 12th house can be about depression and kind of being very trapped, that sort of thing.
Isolated from society?
Isolation, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think it's quite extreme, the 12th house, but
Yeah.
I definitely feel it is very much to do with emotions and intuition,
Yeah. And I think that
either in a
one,
positive
yeah.
or a challenging way.
I think one
Okay.
positive thing about the 12th house that I like to think about, just to be positive, is that it can, when you think about like the need to go to meditation just to clear out the energies of other people and their thoughts and their intrusions, blah blah blah. I feel like it's that. It's like if your 12th house is emphasized in your chart or by perfection, which we can talk about another time, it'll be actually a good time for you to go into retreat to revise your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, I think it can be to do with like sacrifice as well.
Yes.
Like what you are either prepared to sacrifice or what you're going to need to sacrifice. So, anyway, we'll see what comes up here.
Mhm.
Now, there's a little handful of cards that I would have said lend themselves to 12th house, matters of the 12th house. This card is definitely kind of in that list for me. I wouldn't only put this card in the 12th house. There's other houses. I think this card also works well in, but I definitely see it as a visitor of the 12th house, that it makes sense to me. Remember, we're talking about that stellarium and that period of time, and I think if you have Aquarius in your 12th, I would say don't do anything that you might regret. That's it. That's the message. For that period of time, I'm going with this too shall pass. I'm very nervous that some people may get affected by that period of time and do something that would be a horrible mistake.
Okay.
The Fool reversed.
Right.
That suggests to me that at other times that Fool can be upright for them, that they almost feel like they've got spiritual enlightenment at times, but they're gonna lose their grounding of that, or they're at risk of losing their grounding of that during this period of time. I'm sorry, that disturbs me a little bit.
No,
I don't.
I can feel it too, because like I feel like the Fool's energy is really, really focused on release and
Yeah.
exploration and not being trapped, you know? And
Yes.
so the message here is, I feel like, accept being
Yes.
trapped for this.
Don't do anything that you are going to regret afterwards, because this is, in the grand scheme of things, a short period of time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Very powerful.
Okay. So there we have it. We've kind of like done a single card tarot reading for each of the 12 houses. Before we do the oracle, I would like to say I've found personally, I've enjoyed associating the tarot cards to the houses, to the meanings of the houses. It's been interesting doing that. I mean, if you don't know your astrology and you do know your date, time, and place of birth, honestly, do contact us, because then we can tell you which house Aquarius sits in for you. And in fact, you'll then find out where each of the 12 signs, which house each of them is in for future readings. And if you've got access to this information and ever you wanted like an in-depth tarot reading, we can look at every one of your houses personally to you in a great deal of depth. I mean, this is like the tip of the iceberg, really, like one card on each house for absolutely anybody, but it does kind of capture it. So I hope you did stick with it and that you found it interesting, that you enjoyed it. And we're going to leave you with the lovely Khalid, who has a little bonus for everybody.
Yeah.
Tell us what it is, Khalid.
So I'm going to be pulling some cards from the archetype cards deck. Was developed by Caroline Miss in 2003. So basically, I'm going to ask for one card that's going to highlight, in the form of an archetype, the positive opportunities or the positive energies, the positive side of the energies of the stellium that's going to dominate most of February in Aquarius. And then one challenge, right? So basically, so what's the archetypal opportunity that's coming everyone's way, really? And then what's the archetypal challenge? All right.
Great.
Okay. All right. Whoa. Oh my God. The opportunity, I think, is that there's going to be a lot of intelligent air energy in the air that is gonna, if you learn how to tap into it, just like be more receptive to it, it's gonna give you the ability to sort out false information from correct information, um, reality from propaganda, okay, and to kind of discover um, concealed, hidden, or well concealed agendas, operating on the global scale, right? Um, so the card I got for you is the detective archetype. Okay, so this is the opportunity side. So I'm looking at the light attributes, and the light
Oh,
attributes
okay.
are great powers of observation and intuition, desire to seek out the truth, right?
Nice.
So it's very like that
Appropriate.
combination of detective and truth is very, it sounds very Aquarian to me.
It does, but don't you think at the moment that the general kind of feeling of insecurity is because nobody knows what the truth is about anything? We don't trust anything
Yeah.
that we're being told. So
Right.
that's so appropriate.
Yeah.
That
So
is amazing. I
yeah.
like that.
Yeah. I feel like there's gonna be an energy of clarity. You know what I'm
Perfect.
saying? Yeah. And it's like
Perfect.
confidence in developing people's own, let's say, clue finding um, abilities, you know?
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, and look at how she's got a book covering her face and one eye peering out of the book. I just love it. It's quite
Very
dramatic.
nice.
I love it. All right, now the challenge, very interesting, is the artist archetype. So, so we're going with the shadow attributes because this is the challenge card. The shadow attributes of the artist archetype are using talent as an excuse to mistreat others, posing as the starving artist to elicit pity. Very interesting. The positive attributes are expressing a dimension of life that is just beyond the five senses, inspiring others to see life symbolically. Okay. Mm. That's one of my cats too. He likes a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Is he say, is he being the kind of the poor artist saying, "Oh, my life is terrible here."
He's very kind of clingy. He needs a lot of
Oh
attention, you
no.
know? Um, I think I think this is kind of highlighting okay, so if you have like a strong Aquarius signature, you might have a tendency to think that what you have is superior to what others have, and the stage in your mental development is more advanced than that of others. So
Yes.
I think it's like, yeah, it's like don't use that if you're feeling that. Don't use it as a kind of um, excuse or prompt to look down on others and dismiss their opinions. You know, so that intense kind of fixed air energy that's going to be emphasized by the stellium mm, might be making people with a strong Aquarius energy feel like they're yeah. I mean, it came up in the message. I guess this is the dark side of the seven of wands that I got for the first house Aquarius, and the six of wands that I got for the ninth house Aquarius. It's the possibility of kind of looking down on others. looking down on
Yes,
others because you
that
feel like,
superior thing.
yeah, superior things. It's like,
I suppose that Aquarius can be a little bit like detached, can't you know, and that could be kind of mistaken as kind of they think they're better than us.
mm-hmm, right. Yeah, and there is a kind of a visionary quality that is part of the Aquarius archetype. It's very different from the Pisces visionary thing, because with Pisces it's much more spiritual and other dimensions and etc. With Aquarius it's like a vision for a better human future on the earth. So better institutions, for example, better governments, let's say, right?
Right. Yes.
So you might have ideas um, that are in that field, and you might feel like they're superior to those around you, and that you might feel like dismissing the opinions of
Right.
others. So that's something you need to like resist and
Yeah.
be
I
aware
mean,
of.
there is something quite opinionated about Aquarians, and to have all of that Aquarian energy, there is just so much of it for that period of time.
Yeah.
It's kind of almost there's very little energy elsewhere. I'm not saying there's none, but it's kind of all the big players really, apart from Mars, whatever. They're all there. It's all congregated in Aquarius, so it's bringing out all that kind of, this is my opinion and I'm sticking to it.
Hmm.
For that period. Like sometimes when you're with certain people, they bring out something in you. It could be a good thing, but and it's that collective energy.
Yeah.
I think could make things seem very sort of superior. It
Right.
could be what is bringing out the worst in the Aquarian
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah. One thing
That
also occurred to me, just like the second part of
yeah,
the shadow attributes, I think actually I think that might be saying that, if you feel strongly about manifesting a vision but you don't have the resources, um,
yeah,
and you have a strong Aquarius signature in your chart, you might feel inclined to kind of manipulate others and exploit their resources to manifest what you want to manifest, and that's something you need to be aware of. Don't go in that direction. Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
No, this
So
was
that was
fun.
quite different to anything we've done before.
Yes.
So, yeah, so we would really love to hear from you. Please do message us, comment on it, ask us for, to get your info over to you. And that's it. And we will sort of see you the next time when we do our next moon readings with everybody else. These come up every 2 weeks amongst a
Yeah.
whole load of other videos. And if you want to become on our mailing list for the Pomegranate Grove, that will kind of you'll get a newsletter every week which will tell you what videos are coming out each week, because we have quite a lot of different things happening every single week. So
Right.
yeah, yes.
Very active
Some of
schedule.
it's
Yeah.
advanced, and some of it isn't. It really does sort of cater for everybody. So
Yeah.
anyway, thank you, Harley, and
Well, thank
see
you,
you soon.
Mandy.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.